or piece of advice that you would want aspiring creatives to really hone in on?
That's interesting is that most people don't create because they're in a constant state of comparison. Someone is always going to be better than you. Someone is always doing something more extraordinary. What I try to tell, like my daughter, for example, the fact that you exist at all is like an almost impossible statistically situation. I mean, not to get into like, science versus belief, but essentially whatever you believe, it's pretty unlikely that you're here. And there's been, I don't know how many billions of people that have been born and died before you, and how many more are going to be born after you and die. There was a part of me that actually stopped creating because, like, I would go into a bookstore and look at all the books and go, well, who am I to write another book? And I think what stops a lot of people is this sense of like, why should I do anything? What do I have to contribute? Who am I to say anything? And I would tell them that, by the very fact that you are here, and without trying to sound cheesy, you're a miracle. It's a miracle that you are here at this moment. And I believe it is a moral imperative that if you have a creative fire inside of you, and maybe it's just an ember right now because it's been neglected, but if it's there, it's important, probably in this time period more than ever, to let it out. I think we need creative mindset, and we need creative thinkers more than ever. Because when you don't have creative mindset and creative people in a society, you have people that are easily manipulated because they don't question authority. And in reality is that art, by its very nature, and the reason why art has been censored, whether it's music, art, or literature, is because of the fact it's rebellious. It actually questions what is. And there's a lot of comfort in conforming. There's a lot of comfort. My advice for creative people is to not be afraid and feeling like you're part of a community of people of like mind. But there's also a big danger in that of like technology, like what AI is going to do or what new tools are coming out. But look at it in terms of like, how does it enhance you as a human being? And therefore, how does it enhance the human race? And how does it help the earth? And I think once you kind of move away from the idea of creativity as being ego based, like even if you attain that, it's kind of like, ugh. But if you actually think in terms of like, how can I actually help the world without being ostentatious, but how can my work alleviate suffering, allow people to be inspired, then I think you have something which is purposeful and it will help you get through the difficult periods. When you feel like you're doing something that is for other people and at the service of other people in addition to oneself, then I think you have a winning combination. But if it's all about like, well, how can I get, famous, fabulous, and rich, then you might get there, but ultimately it's kind of a very boring and kind of empty way to go through life, I think. Whenever you are, creating, think of it as a gift. What you're doing is you're giving a gift to the world, and don't worry about making money from it, because if it's done with true authenticity, and I don't mean originality because everything has been done before, but if it's done with true authenticity, it'll reverberate with a lot of people, and then that'll get you through. Final, thing is like, doesn't matter what kind of creative expression you do, just make sure it's authentically you, and I think you're golden. The thing is, life takes a lot of courage to truly be awake. And I think what happens is that we have numbed ourselves, collectively as human beings. And we do this, because we're trying to avoid pain. We're trying to get to pleasure. That's just a human biological imperative. And so what happens is that we end up like numbing ourselves with food, alcohol, drugs, affairs, social media. And there's no judgment on this. But what I have found is that when I start to strip away all these things, I felt a lightness. And what happens is you get back to your original face. And your original face, again, this is a Zen concept, is the original essence of who you are that you were born with. And I think that to be an artist is to reconnect with that. And when you do that, the only way you can do that is you get away from a lot of bad habits. And I'm not saying don't have a drink. I'm not saying don't eat a hamburger occasionally. I'm just saying don't rely on things as a way to mitigate you in life. Life is actually not painful and difficult if you're in it right now. What's difficult and painful about life is your memory of trauma from the past and your fear of what might happen in the future. But if you're actively in this moment right now, you're probably okay. And if you're really in this moment right now, you will do something extraordinary creatively, just automatically. It'll happen because you're here. And when I find that I'm not doing good work, it's primarily because I'm not here. I'm somewhere else. And it's very difficult right now in this climate change, political strife, economic instability world. But if you can find your center and then really kind of settle into that, things will happen automatically. It's counterintuitive because we think we're like, oh my God, I got to worry. No, you don't. No, you don't. The world's not going to fall apart for 10 minutes. Sit down and actively be bored. Sit down and look out your backyard and just stare at a thing and empty your mind. If you can't meditate, just sit and observe the light, observe the trees, observe the the birds without judgment. Don't think bird, tree, light. Just let it kind of be. And then when you do that, I have found things on their own accord start to open up rapidly.
Thank you for joining Rick and myself on another episode of Origins, A Creative Journey, a Designer Con production. Please like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, download and listen to us every place you get your favorite podcast. Follow us on Instagram at Origins, A Creative Journey, all one word. Drop us an email for thoughts, ideas, or maybe somebody you'd like us to interview at dconpodcast@gmail.com. And make sure you join us in Las Vegas for DesignerCon, North America's premier annual design convention. All the information can be found, including tickets, at designercon.com. Till then, enjoy your own creative journey.